When we, as social workers, engage with families, we can either take a more traditional approach to helping problem solve, or we can take a more strength-based approach. The strength-based approach can sound a little Pollyanna-ish, but it's really an effective way of helping to engage with families of our clients. My name's Jacob Campbell, and today we're going to talk about what a strength-based approach is for working with families and how we implement it. If you find this content useful, consider liking and subscribing. Strengths perspective is very important in working with families. The traditional problem-solving approach assumes that problems are a naturally occurring part of people's lives, but it misses the benefits of a strength-based perspective. Traditional problem-solving approach, what it does is we identify what the problems are. Oftentimes, work expended most of the time in identifying those problems. This is where in school meetings I have often gone, and the entire meeting is around what the problems are and the things that aren't working. Then we try to find solutions. So we talk about what are the problems, and then we say, what are some solutions? And, maybe somewhere in the middle of there, right, there's a potential that there is some positive reframing and strengths identification. But really, this isn't always done, and it's not using functional strengths. So what's a different method that we might choose to come and to implement? A different approach would be using a strengths-based approach. And when we use a strengths-based approach, still we have to come and identify the problems, but really there's less emphasis that happens on that. Right? It's still an important aspect, but it's not something that we're spending the majority of the time that we're meeting with our clients or our families to be able to do. Then we spend the majority of our time identifying client strengths, resources, that there's a constant focus on identifying client strengths and resources and mobilizing those resources that directly or indirectly improve the situation or the problem. So, and really, when we're identifying these strengths, we think that those strengths should be functional strengths. And functional strengths means that they're useful in being used to come and to solve the problems, right? I think that I've been around social workers that tend to just come and have a time working with individual clients, and that they have a time working with individual clients, and that they have to fill out kind of this form, right, that says, what are the client's strengths or interests? And those are not functional strengths, right? The functional strengths means that it should be things that are useful, because the way that we solve the problem is by using the resources that we found through identifying those strengths. And this is true whether you're talking about working with families or whether you're talking about working with individuals. Kirst-Ashman and Hull identifies 6 different strategies or things that we should be doing to come and to work with clients. One of the major roles that a social worker can take on in helping build strengths is to help build strengths that families already have, right? Families have an inherent desire to meet needs and to reach goals. They're going to be trying to do that. And so we can look at kind of different types of strengths. So things like survivor's pride, a hope for the future, the ability to understand another's needs and perspectives, the ability to identify and make choices about individual and family goals. And we can look at each one of those things and help them to call those out, to be able to let the family recognize that those are strengths and resources that they have, and to include them in the planning that we do with the family. A second strategy that we consider is thinking about working collaboratively with the family. To keep families engaged, we really have to partner with them. It has to be a connection between us and the family. And in our work with our families, we need to consider them experts on their lives, on their strengths, on their resources, on their capacities, that we approach them with humility, that we approach them in a way that is going to allow them to develop their own plans. And, we think about working with clients and think about them being kind of the expert in their field, and really what our goal is to draw out what they're already doing, to help them to understand and to see the things that are working for them. If we're talking about solution-focused brief therapy, we're thinking about looking for exceptions, times that things worked in the past, the things that were helpful. The third thing that we need to be thinking about doing in working with families is to help them formulate a vision. In solution-focused brief therapy, again, we consider what's the magic question. We consider asking them, hey, if you could come and resolve everything, if I was able to come and take a magic wand and raise it and go pow, and everything was fixed, what would it look like? What would happen? What would be different? What would you notice first when you wake up in the morning? And so we can ask them questions like that to be able to have an idea what they're looking at, what the things that they feel like are going to work or that are not going to work. In kind of doing family sessions, we can spend time helping them to identify what their vision is for their family, maybe writing down a family vision statement, that we can help them recognize what are the priorities that they have, the things that are important to them, that we can help them talk about what the values that they have, and to be able to say, how do you rank these? What's the thing that's most important? And that might be different for each one of the family members, and it can be helpful to come and to draw that out so that they're able to come and to recognize it. Boosting family participation and involvement is another task that we should be thinking about doing to come and to use a strengths-based approach with families. We should be looking for ways to help the family come and be more engaged with each other. To come and to encouraging them to have directed family time, right? Do you guys do some sort of a family game night? What kinds of activities do you do that make you feel close together? What are the things that make you feel connected? What are times that you've enjoyed working together? And we can come and ask those types of questions and encourage them to come and to increase their time together, and especially having positive experiences, and that will improve the family dynamic. The fifth thing that we can think about is how do we come and do we utilize environmental modification? That sometimes it's helpful for us to consider what type of environmental modification that they can participate in. How can they come and change the structures within their household to be able to have a lasting impact? This is in some ways thinking about like, hey, who do you hang out with? If you are working with a person who is an alcoholic and you're trying to come and to help them to stop drinking, one of the things that is really important to encourage is that you have them come and remove all the alcohol from their home, right? That you encourage them not to go and hang out at a bar, because those things make it easier to come and to stay clean and sober. And in a family environment, it's really important to be able to say, hey, what can we, maybe we turn off the TV at 7 o'clock every night so that we can do some activities together. Right? But it's about modifying the environment. The final consideration, or the final kind of task that Kirst-Ashman and Hull suggests, is modeling high expectations. Both that we encourage parents to model high expectations for their children, but that us as clinicians, we can come and have high expectations for our clients. People who when we have higher expectations on somebody, we are more likely to come and to do more and to be more successful in coming and accomplishing those tasks. And so I just wanted to leave you guys with a couple of things. I'm not going to go through and read these. This information comes from Kruzich and kind of some of his associates. And they list a number of barriers that happen for engagement. And they also talk about some of the supports that can be given to encourage family engagement. So thank you guys very much. I'd love to hear, how do you use a strength-based approach in your practice? What does that look like? Until next time, I'll see you later.